What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, it is finally time to put my 2023 GR86 back to stock. I haven't owned this vehicle that long. I knew it wasn't going to be a long-term vehicle, and I just finished making my 7-month update owning this car. It has been something that I've always wanted to own and experience. It's been a lot of fun. I really hate to get rid of it, but I have some other car plans and this has to go. So this is mainly a project vehicle that I wanted to do some modifications. Today we have to take all of those off. So those will be for sale. I'll have a list down in the description of this video. If it's still listed, that means the part will still be available for sale. You can also check out our GR86 playlist for all of the modification videos, so that way they can help you out, as well as our website too. We carry all of the parts that I'm taking off this vehicle on our website, so you can check those out as well. So this is going to be the last time seeing this vehicle as is. So it's lowered, we've got the spacers, we've got some carbon fiber accents, some goodies underneath the hood, as well as the full exhaust system, which I will be starting with first on taking off. So this is the last cold start up with this AWE exhaust. Let's take a listen. And with the car now in the air, here is the stock exhaust with the massive muffler, very long pipe there. I do like the fact that it does come apart. Makes it so much easier to store being able to do that. And then we have the AWE exhaust. I've never actually shown putting a vehicle back to stock as far as the exhaust goes. So I'll show you some tips and tricks that I'll do with this muffler section to see how easy. It should be pretty easy to put back on. We do have a lot more parts for this aftermarket exhaust though to take over or to take off. And this is the track edition exhaust. I do have the touring edition, which I had on the vehicle and I swapped out for that track edition one, which does save some weight. Honestly, this 86 exhaust install and now the uninstall has been one of the easiest that I've ever done on any of my vehicles. So if this is a vehicle that maybe it's your first car, maybe you are just jumping into the modifications, the hardest part is the hangers. So I just got one loosened and I should be able to slide that right off. From here, I'm going to have to do this two-handed with the rest of this hanger and the front of it without letting it drop to the ground. It's much heavier and much more bulky than any aftermarket exhaust system. So what I'm going to do is I am going to try to get 2 of the hangers installed. Probably going to go with these upper ones since I'm at an angle here. So my camera decided to stop filming the rest of that. But honestly, it's not all that hard to get those hangers to get pushed in and then get those last 2 bolts in place. While I'm in back now, since we have that stock exhaust on, hopefully you'll notice too that you were able to see the tips sticking out for the aftermarket ones. So those are definitely tucked up in there. But with the vehicle still up in the air, I'm going to move on to all of the carbon fiber underneath because I need all of that space in order to get up underneath. So I have the 2 rear pieces, the side skirts, and then with the car up in the air, this front lip is basically touching the ground. Look at that amount of clearance that I have with it up. Obviously it's not that low when the vehicle is level, but it is almost touching. So in order to get the front lip off the car now, since I still have it lowered, I can't get my jacks underneath. So I do have to move the car to get the front tire up off the ground, to get the jack underneath, to then lift up the front. Why don't we take a listen to the cold start now, well, somewhat of a cold start with this stock exhaust. Did that even turn on? That was so quiet. So I just finished up swapping out the mirror caps. So this wasn't all that bad. Back to the gloss black for the originals there. And with the entire carbon fiber removed from the lower section, it looks like a much different car. I still love all of the lines and the curves for the 86. The lower section there, the carbon fiber just added a little bit more, especially on the front end. I like those points there, but with the carbon fiber underneath it, I think it just gave it that little bit of extra flair. So the last bit of carbon fiber is the duckbill spoiler, which I actually really do like. I love the shape of it. Almost looks like the premium versions for the 86, a little bit larger than what Toyota has from the factory. And so I have never taken anything adhesive like that off before. So I'm just going to heat it up as much as I can, and hopefully that will allow it to peel off very nicely and then clean up all the glue from the residue from the 3M. So now we have a wingless 86. Honestly, it's not all that hard, but boy, is that adhesive. One, it's very sticky, and two, with the shape of this small C curve, it makes it a little bit tricky to get up underneath, but a lot of heat and a lot of wiggling to get the adhesive off. Now, for the last time, I will be able to open up the hood on the 86 with one hand, because I will be removing these hood struts on both sides, as well as the very large intake box there, putting that back to stock and putting the silly prop rod back up for the hood. I do wish that they came from the factory with that. It's just something that's pretty simple to do, but I think that's something that should definitely come factory, as well as the intake, to give it a little better sounding engine note. But let's go ahead, get them back to stock. And back to everything being stock. So now I've got parts everywhere that I need to clean up and box, and of course list for sale. So again, check out the description. If there are parts still listed, that means they have not sold yet, and they'll be all cleaned up, boxed up, and ready to go. So from here, the last major part that I need to remove is the entire suspension. So to go back to the original suspension, as well as taking off the wheel spacers, that is going to be a big project, because I do have some parts on the suspension itself that I have to put back on the stock suspension. So we're going to go to a brand new day and knock that out. And so just like that, my 2023 Toyota GR86 is 100% back to stock. Now, when I bought this vehicle, I knew it wasn't going to be something that was going to be a long-term vehicle. I have some other cars that I want to buy, and this was kind of just a filler. It was something on my list that I truly wanted to own and experience, do all these modifications, and really see what this car has to offer. Now, I didn't do anything like supercharged turbo it. I didn't go that high in the modifications. I basically did some cosmetics, I would say some important modifications like the suspension, exhaust intake, things like that that I thought would liven the car up, make it handle better, and just enhance its overall look without going crazy or overboard. If I owned this car for several years, I would probably do something like that. But for this short-term project, I didn't want to put too much into it, but I wanted to do what I thought were the best, inexpensive sort of modifications for this car. So like I just said, I have some other cars that I want to get. So the 86 is now 100% back to stock. I will be consigning it with Champion Car Company, so I'll have that link down in the description. If it's still in the description, that means the car is still available. And so it just needs a wash after this, and it is ready to go. But let's talk about now all of the modifications that I did to my 86. We'll start off underneath the hood, where I did add an intake. Now, this is something that can be a little bit controversial. Obviously, you're really buying the intake for the sound, but it definitely livens up this 4-cylinder, makes it sound really, really good. And that's kind of what you're buying it for. You can get some horsepower in the higher RPM. It's a little insignificant. However, when you start adding more modifications, all those insignificant gains add up to be something that will be significant. So I had the intake. I also had some hood struts, because the silly prop rod is just something I don't think any car should really come with. And I had all the carbon fiber accents that you saw. That's not everyone's taste, but that ground effects kit, I think really it looked nice, especially having the carbon fiber wing. Now, this is a base model. If you go with the premium, it actually comes with a wing, so I was kind of mimicking that, just going with the carbon fiber to match all the other accents that I had. And then I also had the suspension, as you saw, come off, which really made this car look great. Once I took it off, that wheel gap is so crazy to see from the factory, but lowering it and doing the wheel spacers with the factory wheels made it look proper. Now, it was a little bit low for my liking. I did have a little bit of scraping issues, but when you lower a car, that's something to be expected. And then last up, I had the exhaust, which really, really made this sound good. It had pops in it, and it just livened up that 4-cylinder even more. There's only so much you can do with the 4-cylinder, but I think I had a really good setup with all of those parts, and I've never actually talked about the cost for all of these modifications. So the total cost for all of the parts that I put on my 86 over the last 7 months was about $5,400. So not all that bad, I guess, considering this is a $35,000 car. Obviously it can be a little bit less if you're getting some higher mileage ones, but that doesn't seem all that bad for this car with the slight modifications that I did. Really enhanced not only its driving, but its aesthetic looks too. I wanted to do wheels and tires to put wider wheels on the back, but I just didn't get there. This is such a phenomenal car. It is something that I truly recommend, especially if you're not looking to spend a lot of money, especially on the price of the vehicle, and you just want a fun, affordable, and practical vehicle. I just want to show real quick. I have actually used this a lot for its practicality because I have this massive box in the back that goes through. I have to put the back seats down, but you can't do this, especially in my R8 or some other sports cars like that. So the practicality of this, having those back seats if you need to use them as well, makes this fun, practical. It can be your only car and you can have a lot of fun with it. So it's time for one last drive behind the wheel of the 86. Now this is truly a fun car to drive. There is a big night and day difference between how it drives stock and the modifications that I did to it. But this is such a fun car. This can be your first car. This can be just a car that you enjoy driving. It is something that truly is fun. It's not fast in a straight line. It's not a 0 to 60 type of car, but you can hang with some more performance-oriented cars through some twisties because this car can handle extremely well. We were actually able to drive one at the tail of the Dragon, if you're familiar with that road and the cars that go up there. This and the Mazda Miata were two of the most fun cars that we drove through the Dragon. We were in a Supra as well, the new Z, a Mustang as well, but the 86 and the Miata, with the handling that they have, they're not quick, but boy, can you take this through some turns and really carry your momentum well, even in a stock configuration. So I gotta say, this is a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the 7-month ownership of this car, and I am excited that I got to own it, experience it, and see what it's like to own. So if this is your only car, if this is something in your budget, it is definitely a lot of fun. Let's do another acceleration. So pedal to the floor right now. And I say, or would say, it's a car that you can learn how to start doing performance driving without necessarily having all of that power to make it intimidating. This is rear wheel drive. You can get the back end out on dry conditions. It's kind of hard to do unless you really mash your foot and dump the clutch. But other than that, this is a car that you can learn the driving characteristics of without having something too powerful that you just might go off the road or something like that. This is a car that even experienced drivers can have a lot of fun with because you have all this usable power and you can row through all these gears. So it's definitely a lot of fun. But that is going to wrap up the 2023 Toyota GR86 ownership experience. I have all of the videos for all of the modifications that I did under our GR86 playlist, and you can even check out our website for all of the parts that I installed on this car as well. And I hope this video series can help future owners, or if you own an 86, and parts, recommendations, things like that. Since I have a good experience and knowledge with this car, even on older videos, you can ask me some questions about it, and I will let you know what I think is best for this car. But I'm really glad that I had the time to experience what this car's like. Phenomenal car, and I'm gonna miss it, but I have some other vehicles that I want to test out and try. And so the 86 will be leaving the garage, but I hope you enjoyed all of the content surrounding it. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.